Hello there everyone, and welcome to the next mini tutorial here on Ducttapestuff. I've been getting a lot of requests in the past few months. I've really been getting requests since I started the channel on how do I cut the letters in my designs so well. So basically what I'm going to do is film a short mini tutorial here on this, and basically this is going to be added to the decorations playlist on my channel because this has to do directly with decorations, and I haven't made one of those videos in a while, so this is going to go into the decorations tutorial playlist, and as it is a decoration tutorial. So let's get started here on this mini tutorial here. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about are the tools. Now, if you've been following Ducttapestuff for a little while now, you know that I use a cutting mat here, a self-healing cutting mat for my designs, and that I use the X-Acto knives. With the cutting mat, there's really just nothing simple there. You know, you just put the cutting mat down if you have one, and you use that. With the X-Acto knives, they do make a bunch of different kinds, as well as different sizes and lengths and stuff like that. This is all basically what I use most of the time is just a simple X-Acto knife. It's got the triangular blade on it, and it's about, well, that's about maybe a little over a quarter of an inch in diameter. But they do make ones in different sizes, like here's an even smaller one here, and this one is even tinier. You can see the blade difference there. It's really, really tiny. And that one I use for like when I'm working on really tiny little corners and stuff like that. Obviously you don't need to have a whole bunch of different sets of these, but I use them because I have them stashed away in different places. And this one is an even bigger one, and this one, as you can tell, you know, much bigger than the other one here, and this is the same exact blade, but it allows you to get like a much better leverage behind this. I don't usually use this for letters and stuff like that just because it's so big and it's really a little hard to grab onto when I really want to get those precise cuts. So basically I just use the single blade here one, this the smallest one that I have for this. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to start cutting these out, and I'll show you all my tips on how to do that. So as you can see here, I have two letters that are already traced onto these two pieces of pink duct tape. And basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the tips that I use to cut the stuff out. Now basically, as you can see here, what I did is with these two letters specifically, I drew an extra line on each one. On the C here, obviously I have this line going straight down here, and on the A I have the bottom one here. Basically what I do is when I make the letters, especially the bigger ones, I draw lines to see if the measurements they added up correctly. For example, like on the A here, I want to make sure that this line goes straight across so that when I do cut it out, these two legs of the A are exactly the same size, the same length when I decide to cut it out. So basically what I do is I take a ruler and then measure it straight across, and I can either draw a line or just make sure that it does line up. Same thing with the C here. I go straight up and make sure that those two ends of the C are exactly lined up. So basically what we're going to do now is I'm going to start cutting it out. I usually start at the corners here and then just work my way up, apply just a little bit of pressure to make sure that it does cut through the tape, and then the same thing on the other side. The X-Acto knife blades are usually just a little bit smaller. They're a lot thinner than the actual pen mark, so you basically want to go in the middle of that pen mark when you do cut, and you want to make sure you do that all the way around so that you don't get thicker pieces than on different sides. Now when we go for the center here, when we have these little edges here, like where the corners are really tight, basically what you want to do is you want to start in the corner and work your way out. So I'm starting there and cutting down instead of cutting here and then working your way there. So same thing on this side. I'm just going to start there and then cut my way down just like this. And then obviously I'm just going to go straight across right here. And basically what that does, when you start in the corners and work your way out, you tend to not get a little bit of the problems that when you cut into that, you might have a little piece of tape that's still sticking out right through there. Obviously when you have like the pieces in the center here, it's going to be a little more difficult, but just practice makes perfect. You just go very slowly. Make sure that you do cut through it. And usually you could hear it cutting right through the tape. And then if you want to, you can just peel it up just like this, the little pieces in between, and it should come basically right up if you did it well. And then basically you just pull the whole thing up here. As you can tell, yeah, I didn't do this part right here. Always want to go around to make sure that you did cut the entire thing out. Sometimes it won't actually stick to the surface. You might have to help it along just a little bit. It might peel up with the excess pieces of tape. So we got that done, and then we have that part there. and then obviously this top piece here. So there you have the A. Now basically what I do is I just take a little piece of paper towel and I just take away all that little black mark around the sides. Basically that's just left over from the pen. If you take like a towel, you can just rub it right off. It'll come right off. You use a tissue either, Or you can just use your hand if you want to just make sure that it looks a little bit prettier, because obviously on pink it's going to show up a lot more than it is, say, on black or some of the darker colors. So that's for the A. Now we're going to work on the C here. Okay, for the C, now you think that it probably wouldn't be as complicated as the A just because it doesn't have a lot of those little corners and stuff that can really mess you up. But the thing is with the C here is because since it does have that curve to it, it's going to be a little more difficult, especially if you're not used to curving the X-Acto knife as you go around. But it shouldn't be too difficult. Basically what I'm going to do is just start with the side here. I'm not going to bother to cut that entire line because, well, it's not even part of the actual letter. No sense in wasting time on that. So you make sure those two are cut. Sometimes I start in the middle here and then actually work my way around just to make it a little bit easier on yourself. So just very carefully, very slowly, you're going to curve the X-Acto knife as you go around, just like this. Find that little mark where you started in the middle and then just work your way back around. And remember that the pen mark has no bearing on what you're actually cutting, so if you do go off a little bit, that's what the letter is going to end up as. The pen mark has nothing to do with how it's getting cut at all. So bear in mind, if you messed up with the pen just a little bit, you can correct it with the X-Acto knife, because obviously that's what's going to be cut out, and then you can just take that paper towel and just take off the pen that's left over. So once again, I'm starting in the center, working my way out. Just like that. So now I got this whole piece should come right up. Actually, the whole piece is going to come up. Just like that. And there you have the C. AC, air conditioning, yeah. So I'm just going to use the paper towel, clean up a little bit of the pen marks. And there we are, looking pretty good. So that's basically my tips on how to cut out letters. And basically I use this design and these tips on pretty much all of the smaller designs that I make. So that's basically concludes this mini tutorial. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and this is my first decorations tutorial in a while, so hope you guys enjoyed it, and there will be some more coming in the future. So take care. I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe if you want to. Check out the Facebook fan page as well as the blogger, the Ducttapestuff blog. So see you guys next time. Take care.